All right. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hey, my name's Coach Lieber. I was known as the chubby coach last year. A little less chubby coach this year. Still the chubbiest. When Coach Kimmel asked me to speak today, immediately started stressing out. Like, Coach Kimmel always gives you a test. He even does that to his coaches. This is one of my first tests. And he told me I could talk about pretty much whatever I wanted, as long as I related to the team somehow. So the thing that continued to pop up in my mind, and he's mentioned it already a little bit, is why are you here? So the word that kept popping up in my head was legacy. So I'm going to share a little bit about what I think about legacy, and maybe even what my legacy is, according to me. So those of you that don't know, I went to Sydney High School, and around 1999 to 2002. It was good old days. And so I thought I'd share a little bit about what my legacy was on my cross-country team when I ran. But some of you think I'm a little biased when it comes to talking about myself, so I decided to ask some of my former teammates what they thought about when someone says Matt Lieber and the high school cross-country team. And I thought I was a little stressed out about this talk, but it's a little even more stressful when you ask some of your peers like what they thought of you, even 20 years later. So here's a few of the responses. Some of these will surprise you, some of them probably will not. First one said, I would classify you as the hype man of our team. We kept sticking around to see what else Matt Lieber would do at the next meet. Next person said, I remember the fun chants before the races and how when needing you to be serious, you were just enough to keep us on target and pumped up for races. The next person said, I loved how you brought your boombox. That's why I brought my boombox. And got us pepped up. You made us cross country so much fun. I'll never forget the time. Oh yeah, you put a piece of long grass in your mouth and you would run beside somebody and it would tickle their face. Definitely something I did. Your shenanigans were probably my favorite part of XC season, and I will say that while you could be silly in practices, I feel like I remember you taking meets very seriously and always seemed to put forth your best effort. And then the second to last one said, biggest thing I'll always remember is you, and then in quotation marks, the champ, in your robe that I would wear, because for some reason in my freshman year I thought, this will be funny. I'll wear a robe to every meet and walk around and call myself the champ. I'd walk around, the champ is here, the champ is here. It was around the time like I learned about Muhammad Ali and I thought I was. It was also the time The Rock was a wrestler, and so I thought I was like The Rock also. So he said, always positive, having fun. If I was nervous or having a bad day, being around the champ always blinded the nerves and brightened my day. So this is where I kind of stop, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what the champ was and what he thought he was doing. I also wore a pair of knee-high black socks. I don't have any more of those socks, but I was that guy. I wore my black robe and carried my boombox. Because back in the day, that's all we had to play our music on, was the boombox. I don't even have batteries in it, so sorry, new music. But I would play the first 30 seconds, only the first 30 seconds of Eye of the Tiger. The first 30 seconds, I would repeat it over and over and over. My taste in music was a little scattered back then, so also on the CD, there's some Backstreet Boys on there. I Want It That Way was on there. And as we were walking to the start line, I had my robe on, heard myself as the champ, and everywhere I'd go, I'd shout, the champ is here. We were at Troy, same course that you guys run, pretty much the same course. And the entire girls team from Troy was sitting on the lip. And so I, with my boombox and my robe, decided this is the perfect time to play I Want It That Way. Culminating with me ripping the robe and my jersey off at the time during the intense part of the song. You know the song, you know what I'm talking about. Right? Alan, you know what I'm talking about. And notice, these were the memories that people had of me when I asked them. They didn't talk about my times, and how fast I ran, or how hard I worked. But then there was this one more response from this freshman. He was a freshman when I was a senior, and he actually turned out to be a pretty good runner. So I was kind of interested to see what he would say. I thought he'd be like, oh, this guy's a joke. Kind of said that, but he also said, You are one of the main reasons I stuck with running back then and still do it today. Of course, I remember the good times where we joked around, but when my mom passed away in high school, it's extremely hard. He reached out to me and checked in on me, and he showed me he cared more than just about how I ran, but how I was doing as a person. Thanks to you, I definitely became a diehard runner and a better human being. So, let's fast forward a little bit. This kind of leads into the next part. I heard a speaker talk about how we were going to die 2 times in our life. The first time is when our physical body fails us and we're no longer here on this earth. And then the second time is when the last time someone mentions your name. So at some point in my life, and I'll spare you all the details, I started thinking about, do I really want people to refer to me as the champ and wearing the robe all the time? Or would I rather people talk more about that last comment, about how I cared for people? So now I'm going to fast forward even more to why I'm here as a coach. I'd continued to run my entire life, but nothing like what you guys do, or even what I did in high school. Coach Kimmel and I knew of each other, but not really that well, and he reached out to me one day, and someone needed help with a Flat Stanley project. I don't know if you know Flat Stanley, the book back in 3rd grade, but you printed out a Flat Stanley and you took pictures with your class, and someone in his family was doing that. He denies this, but I think this was the very first test that he gave me. And he asked me to take pictures with my class doing this Flat Stanley thing and send them over to him. When I gave him the flash drive with the pictures, he had a letter for me. And those of you that have had me in class, you know that I've written a letter or two in my time. So I realized the impact that those letters can have. And I was kind of shocked when I opened up the letter and he asked me to join the team. And he kind of gave me 2 options, which was the beginning of him coaching me as well. And he said, you can toss this letter in the trash and continue being an outstanding teacher and colleague, or you can take your sphere of influence to a new level and add value to young people's lives. This second choice is what I wanted my legacy to be. And in fact, it is something that I made my life's purpose since the champ left me at times. So obviously the champ is still around in a different form. You still see him sometimes, but maybe not as extreme. And as I was thinking about joining TIPPXC, I didn't know a ton, but I knew the reputation of TIPPXC, and I knew it was elite. I knew it was no robe wearing, knee-high sock wearing, boombox carrying kind of team. And there was a moment when I almost convinced myself, no way am I going to do this. Definitely would have been easier to say no. Fear was definitely there. And life was pretty good, and I didn't want to have any major change in my life. So ultimately, I knew that if I wanted to continue to change my legacy, this was the next step. So as you continue to think about why you're a part of this team, I want to challenge you to lose the robe and knee-high socks and drop the boombox, whatever those things are for you, and utilize the time you have with this team and look for opportunities to write your legacy. Do not take practices or workouts for granted. Take it from someone who is not the fastest coach, or the second fastest, or maybe even the 3rd fastest. You can still have a major impact on this team. Finally, I want to say that the word legacy refers to what people will say about you when you're gone. Don't wait until you're gone to try to change your legacy. That's all I got.